to a fresh new episode of High Voltage. I am your host. I am best-selling international author MacKenzie Nelson, hoping to infuse you with that extra pep in your step to get you pumped for the weekend. It's Friday, right, guys? I hope you got some great plans on the books. But for now, sit back and thoughtfully relax while I throw down a new concept maybe for you to chew on today. I want to talk about the power that is ours through the choices that we make, right? When you think about it, all of the decisions that you have to make in a day, there's so much being flung our way, and it feels just like a lot of times we're this driftwood kind of on the waves of life, just kind of being flung around, and it's easy to feel like a victim in your own life because you cannot control these external factors coming at you, like your kid is sick, right? Or, you just lost your job, but the bills keep coming and it wasn't your fault. Your company was downsizing, but now what do? Panic sets in, restlessness, worry, stress. And I just named two different scenarios, a sick kid and a job loss. Well, the truth is there's much more than that going on pretty much on a rotational basis in our lives. If you are a parent, you're not just dealing with a spouse and you're married and you have 2-3 kids. Those are a lot of relationships, happening at the same time. And each of those people have specific needs that need to be met within a day, within a specific scope of time. And it is easy to get distracted by the busyness and feel so lost, muddled, tossed to and fro, and just completely lose sight of your purpose for that day, of your direction, of anything you had on the books. It's happened to me. And the days it happens to me are the days where I don't stop, right? I let myself get caught in the manicness of the day. And maybe I go and I shop somewhere where, the whole ambiance is just looking to eat you alive. The workers, the customers, no one's happy in this place. And so then it just adds, right, to the overall discombobulated, disoriented feeling of stress. There is power in that, okay? There is a way that you can soar higher than the stress, the manic, the panic. You don't have to participate in the chaos. You can choose. The choice is yours, whether you invest your emotions, your time, whether you choose to let that rile you up, right? And a lot of times maybe you feel that, it's not comfortable to be in a situation shopping at a place where no one, is happy with this situation. Maybe they're understaffed. Maybe the people there are in a big hurry. What can you do? These circumstances are all out of your control. You can take a breath in that moment. When you feel yourself getting angry or you start to feel yourself stressed or panicked, you can focus on your breath. I am here. I am breathing. I have my item. I'm waiting in line and I need to purchase it. So while I can't control the status of everyone else right now, I can center myself. I can focus myself. I can say, God, help me in this moment. Help me maintain homeostasis. Help me ground myself in the peace of your presence, Lord. For I have a choice. I have a choice. And when I discovered, right, I had a very traumatic upbringing. I talk about it in depth in my book, My Father's Feathers. If you're interested, or if you have read it, then you know where I'm coming from. I had to get myself to a place, right, where I understood that I had a choice. As a child, I was wrapped up. I couldn't do anything. I was stuck in a home where I was being mistreated, and there was nothing I could do. Although I spoke up, I fought, and I'm very proud of how I handled myself in very tough circumstances growing up. And I'm not in those circumstances, and I can't tell you that there isn't a day that I wake up that I am not grateful to be out of the home I grew up in, where I have a fresh start, and where as an adult, I have complete autonomy over my body. I have control over the decisions I make, and it feels so powerful just understanding that I have a choice. And I never got that, as a child, my choices were much more limited. But if someone could have just told me, hey kid, you got it rough, right? The best thing you can do is understand that it's not you. It's not you. You are not, sorry, Taylor Swift, but you're not the problem. You are not the problem, right? We cannot control other people. Other people are out of our realm of controllability. We can set boundaries to let people know what we will and will not tolerate in our sphere of life. We can communicate. That's all we can do. And then the ball is in their court. And yes, it is incredibly hurtful when you set boundaries and are willing to have conversations and people don't return that. But for whatever reason, they're not at a place where they can effectively communicate with you to be on better terms. And when you can accept that other people are not, besides your children, of course, your responsibility, whether they're parents or not. If someone is mistreating you, you have the choice, even if it's your own family. As an adult, it never set into me that I had the choice to keep family members in my life or not, because the way I was raised was no matter what anyone does to you, they're family, and that trumps everything. So family is very valuable and precious to me, and I really did everything I could to keep the people in my life, close to me to the best of my ability. But no matter what I did, no matter how much I sacrificed, my personality, my resources, my entire being, no matter what I did, it was always coming up short. And I kept going back to the drawing books thinking that if I could fix my behavior somehow, I could change this whole scenario. So I went back to the drawing board multiple times in my life, and I did everything I could to communicate to these people. And I bent myself into pretzels. I erased my personality. I kept my mouth shut. I talked more, I talked less. No matter what I did, there was always going to be a problem because it wasn't me. I am not perfect, and I'll never be perfect, and I'll never be able to be the embodiment of what someone else is thinking I should be, because my only calling in life is to fully unleash who I am into this world. I was only called to be the best version at this point in time that I could be. And that is the choice that you get to make. You don't get to make the choices for anyone else besides your children sometimes, but I'm talking adult-wise. You don't get to make choices for other adults for how they will navigate life according to what you want them to do. So I challenge you to take a minute right now and think of maybe some scenarios in your life where maybe you are trying too hard to control the outcome, like I was. I was manipulating myself into any position I could get myself into just so I could have the approval of my family members. Are you doing this with anyone that's coming to mind that you can think of? Whether it's a friendship or, your spouse, your mother, your father, then I challenge you to stop. I challenge you to understand the choice that you have, and that is to be who you are and bring the most authentic version of who you are into that space. To allow yourself to fully feel the confidence of who God made you to be on this earth. And if that person can't accept you for who you are, then they are not choosing to love you with unconditional love, which brings me to my next point. What kind of love are you loving others with? I say what kind because when you say, I love you, it can mean a variety of things. One person's version of love is not another person's version of love, meaning the way that you love and how you view love is your own personal viewpoint of love. So when we say we love each other, me to my husband and my husband to me, I am sure we mean entirely different things because it all breaks down to the components of love. What you were taught growing up is the other part of it. When you were raised, when you left your home, did you feel capable? Did you feel worthy? Did you feel loved? Did you feel a love that was like, no matter what I do out there, my mom is always going to welcome me home and always going to hug me and always be there for me. No matter what kind of trouble I get myself into, I know I have a lifeline. I know I'm going to be met, with respect and kindness. If so, you were raised in an unconditionally loving home. And you, therefore, love unconditionally just like you were loved. Then there are those of us who, we were raised in a background where, there was no love. There were only words of discouragement. At your lowest, you were discouraged further. And so for me, I have had to work a lot harder. I have had to press in more. I've had to do more soul searching, more thinking. I've had to learn, right, from God what unconditional love even means because I didn't know unconditional love for a long time. I felt like no matter what I did, I'd probably screw something up somehow and someone would be unhappy. And it is such a difference when now I can tell my children, I love you, and I know what that love entails. It's not the same love my mother loved me with, which was, I love you as long as you do things I approve of. If you do something I disapprove of, I no longer love you because I will no longer tolerate you in my presence and I'll pretend that you do not exist, which unfortunately is where we're still at today. I love my kids regardless of who they become, of what they choose. I love them no matter who they love. I love them no matter what they become. There are no standards on my children. There's nothing that I am expecting from them except to be exactly who they are. That is it. That's the standard in my house. Be yourself. Bring your heart. Bring your sorrows, bring your concerns, your victories, your discouragements, and I will sit there with you. And I will love you, and I will listen to you, and I will support you the best way that I possibly can, because that is love. That is true love. And maybe, sometimes growing up in my home, I wasn't the easiest kid to love, but my goodness, what a difference it makes when you're having a hard day, just to have that person, your mother, just to say, it's okay. You're safe here. And that's really a choice that you have. You get to choose regardless of how you were raised or not. I encourage you to examine the concepts that you took out of your childhood, because if you haven't done that, then it's very possible that you are just passing on the same love you were given growing up. The only way that we change the kind of love we're extending to someone else is through a thorough self-examination and through, just simply asking yourself, what am I expecting? If you're a mother or a father of my kid, what What am I expecting for them to bring? What is enough for me as a parent? And if you have an enough standard for your kids, something you are continually expecting them to align with and exceed your expectations before you will offer that love, then you have conditions to your love, and you are not loving with the whole extensiveness that you could be. And in doing so, you're shortchanging yourself, because the truth about unconditional love is when you extend that to people, you get it back, right? My kids love me unconditionally. They've seen me go through the gamut of things in this home, and they love me. They always wrap their arms around me and they hug me, and I feel it. And it's mutual and it's beautiful. The same goes for my husband. We've been together 20 years. We've seen each other at the highest of highs and the lowest of lows, and we have been there for one another to the best of our abilities and loved each other well. And in my opinion, that is a life well lived, when you are well loving one another. Choose well. And I encourage you, if you haven't checked out the blueprint you were raised with in your home, if you haven't thought about how that left you feeling, I encourage you to do that, because that can be some key indicators to your life. And honestly, love well so you can be loved well. Love well so you can feel fulfilled, so you can feel sustained, that no matter circumstantially, the world could be falling apart, but if you have a life well lived and loved, that's everything, guys. I promise you. I have had near-death encounters, and I did not see the money in my bank account. No, I didn't see my home, or the money that I had and what I was going to buy and the trips I would take. That's not what I saw. What I saw were my children. What I saw was my husband, my mother, my sister, my brother, my father. By the way, a quick update on my dad. They did discover a second cancer in him. So if you could just be in prayers. He visited the Mayo Clinic recently, and they are coordinating everything with the doctors in Tennessee. Prognosis at this point is still, I would have to talk to him a little more about it, but I feel so hopeful, and I'm praying for him that as he continues his chemo, that we will have good news. It's been a really hard journey on my end, a lot of conversations with God, but I know that He is always here. Even if sometimes it's a little harder to hear Him, we are always tethered to Him. There can be times where He speaks so loudly, and others where you're like, are you still here? But rest assured, friends, He never leaves us. He never abandons us. God is not the same as people. People can leave. People hurt us. People abandon us. But God never does. So don't put God in the camp with the people that hurt you. He's a completely separate entity. Choose well, friends. Have a great weekend and love well. It's a new day every day. A new opportunity to love well. If you feel like you messed it up today, you get another chance tomorrow. Praise the Lord. I'll talk to you next week.